Hey guys, my name is Thane and welcome into the Reseller Room podcast. This podcast is designed for you whether you're dreaming about starting a business or you're looking to refine your existing business. We hope that these conversations are valuable to you.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about a very important topic to me, and that is diversification in business. Now, this is, in my opinion, something that's extremely important to help your business stick around for the long term.
All right, Chase, as we dive in, quick question for kind of a new segment we're going to try out doing here. What is a win, kind of just a recent win that you've had in your business?
Yeah, one that really has me excited is on our website, we added buying elite trainer boxes and booster boxes.
Oh, that's cool.
It's for Pokemon cards. So yeah, like I love Pokemon cards. We've definitely honed into like mostly selling video games as our main focus, especially in the buy list.
Yeah.
But we've talked about how can we kind of expand this in a way that makes sense. So we're paying pretty aggressively on elite trainer boxes and booster boxes. We might add like different types of SKUs and stuff, but that was like the biggest thing to get rolling. So
Pokemon is so big right now.
it is,
Especially like
hot.
newer product, it is just flying off shelves right now.
Yes, yeah, the newer Destined Rivals and the newer sets have just been like crazy. And it for me, it's exciting because I've always loved Pokemon cards, games, everything. You know, as people know if they follow our channel, ChaseAfterTheRightPrice or anything. But yeah, I'm very excited for that.
Have you guys gotten a couple collections in of ETBs yet?
Yeah, so we've got our first like 151 ETBs. We didn't really talk about it in the first month the ETBs launched.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that this month and beyond is going to be pretty crazy. So,
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's fun. Well, guys, we'd love to know what's winning in your business. So whether you're an online reseller, you have a brick and mortar store, comment down below a win that you've had this month, and we'll feature it on next week's show. So here we go. Let's dive in. So today we're talking about diversification. What is diversification? Why does it matter for your business? Is it a good idea? Is it not? So today, my first question is, what are some of the risks that you take as the business owner if you don't diversify? Or even before that, what would you define diversification as?
I think diversification is simply expanding the ways that you conduct business. So it can be expanding platforms. It can be expanding the ways that you buy. It can be expanding your amount of connections, like just adding buckets of things that lead to revenue. And it is very important. Yeah. And I think one of the biggest pros of diversification is reducing risk, right? So there are cons, and we'll get into some of that for sure. And there are sellers, I want to acknowledge, that are killing it, that are pretty much not diversified at all.
Yeah.
You know, there's businesses that just really hone in on one thing. They're doing video games on Amazon, and they have scaled a massive business.
Yep.
If that were me, I would be pretty scared just because of the risks that come along with that.
Yeah, what are some of the risks that come with not having a diversified business?
Yeah, so I mean, a big one is like platforms can boot you, can kick you off.
For seemingly no reason sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that's pointing at Amazon there for sure. Like the Section 3s with Amazon have hit, honestly, I think a couple dozen people just in our Discord.
Wow.
Which a Section 3 is where, for whatever reason, they ask for an official invoice for the products that you're buying and selling.
For stuff that is decades old.
Yeah, sometimes we've had people get struck for like Xbox 360 games that are no longer in production and haven't been for years, and they're doing things well and whatever. It's just kind of a automated system, and it certainly is one that has a lot of Amazon sellers feeling pretty scared right now.
Yeah, that's tough, especially when that's your one thing. Like if you're like, let's say you're in Amazon, you're in video games, and that's all you do. Having that cut out from under you is just, that's the equivalent of a storefront burning down.
Yes.
Like that was your one revenue source, and that's a big deal.
Yep.
What are some of the other things that I feel like a lot of times with diversification, especially with reselling, is you can kind of feel like there's opportunities that you're leaving on the table. And obviously we always talk about you want to be a part of in something that you know and you love, but talk a little bit about what you look at when you're looking at opportunities that are out there to diversify and expand your business.
Yeah, I think, you know, you can try to become too diversified. So like the everything sellers.
Mhm.
There's some people that can do it, right? And I've been an everything seller for sure. And what I mean by that is you just sell in every category. If you see something that is profitable or you think might be profitable, you're buying it and you're listing it. That can put a pretty low lid on what your business could be, in my opinion. So there is kind of a balance of like, when I'm looking at diversification opportunities now, I want it to be something that's related to the main business.
Well, because there is a difference in between diversifying and spreading yourself too thin.
Yes, exactly.
Like when you get into too many things, I feel like you can kind of lose your identity of what you are as a business.
Yeah, and so one pretty good example of this for our business is, and I wouldn't change this, but when we bought out the 50-year-old hobby shop with Hobby Shop Ron, it was great. Ron is a legend. It started with video games, but then it got into like 1,400 knives, 1,400 pocket knives.
Yeah.
It got into thousands of trains, hobby shop stuff, like just crazy, guys. It was crazy. And this was a few years ago. We were doing a lot of eBay, and Al Pal's job just became full-time hobby shop lister on eBay. And, it was going well. We got in at a good price. But as we've grown in business, we realized, man, that really spread ourselves too thin. And it was a really good learning experience. But if that same type of opportunity were to come up, I would not do it the same way.
Yeah.
If I were to do it, I would middleman it, right?
Say more about that. What would you mean by middleman it?
I would realize that this is a profitable opportunity, and if I can get into this at a price where I can just load a truck and drive it to a partner that I say, hey, give me a split on this. You sell it on eBay. It'll be great for your business. It's great stuff. It'll be great for my business because I can just be the connection and send it off. And we do have a couple of consignment eBay people that will do that for us. So in light of not spreading ourselves too thin, we've been obsessed the last year with partnering and still maintaining, like, we're really good at connections and sourcing. We have very diversified sourcing opportunities and connections.
Well, you're able to leverage your buying power then, because you have a buying power that most resellers don't have.
Right.
And you're able to leverage that to get inventory at a good price, at a good rate, to where you could then push that inventory and that opportunity off to another business, off to another connection that you have, whether it's in the Discord or in the YouTube community, that then they can make their money and then you can move that product really quickly.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of people out there that are way better at eBay than me and than our business. And I want to partner with those people, right? Because I can still provide value to them in a way. So diversification, like, it is important. If I'm diversifying, you'll notice with our business, things that make sense for us, Pokemon cards. So I'm talking about adding Pokemon cards. Like, Pokemon games are a huge part of our business.
Yeah.
The Pokemon Pursuit is on the main channel. We talk about Pokemon a lot. So, like, why not add Pokemon cards? And I know just about everything about them. The modern stuff gets a little hairy for me. Vintage is my wheelhouse. But when it's sealed, it's easy. It makes sense. It's a really good, like, extension to diversify into. And it could become a big part of our business. You look at Retro Rick, he's like, Pokemon cards have taken over number one category in his store.
He started a video game store, and then one of his main inventory movers is Pokemon cards now.
Yeah, it was historically Nintendo Switch, and the shift happened, and he's added full-time people to, like, focus on Pokemon cards, and is, like, killing it with that opportunity because it's an extension that makes sense. That being said, I think, like, the figure side of things is maybe something that he has slowed down a little bit because they're not selling as fast or whatever. So I think that's a good part of diversification, that is buying your education, is learning different categories and seeing, does this work? And that's where you can kind of realize, okay, this hobby shop thing, maybe not the right way, but this partnership thing could be right, and maybe we should do Pokemon cards instead. And I think that this looks different in each and every business. You got to kind of, like, hone in on what your strengths are, what you're bringing to the table, where your wheelhouse is, and see, are there any extensions that can make sense? And that's just, like, on the sourcing side, but the selling side is another big one too.
Yeah, so diversification, it's not for everyone all the time, but for you, how do you identify when it's a good time to try diversifying or a good time to try to get into a new market, a new platform? What does that look like for you? What's going on in the business when you're thinking about, man, we need to take a look at this again?
One thing is when I feel like whatever we're doing is too risky. We have too many eggs in one basket. That makes me uncomfortable. And so like if Amazon, for example, got to be too much of our revenue, for me, that like if we got 5 people here, 6 people here, and 80% of our revenue comes from Amazon, that's not something I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
I'd say like if something gets like way over half percentage wise of revenue, that's where I start to look at different opportunities. And then I think there can be times where it's like you kind of obviously know what the next thing is. And for us this year, it's been like kind of bringing back Whatnot in a full full force. Not that it ever died, but we definitely started focusing on it less. So the last like couple months, that's been a big thing that I've been focusing on is like I want more energy and more revenue to come from Whatnot because this Amazon thing can be a little scary. I don't want to depend on it. And same for Whatnot. I don't want to fully depend on that. That could slow down. There's things that can happen, like markets can change, platforms can change. So I just think not being dependent on any of those things, seeking opportunities and seeing like, okay, this makes sense for our business, right? Or this doesn't make sense. And honestly, like we still sell on eBay a little bit, but when we're talking about maximizing our hours for our unique team and unique situation, Whatnot makes a little bit more sense to move greater volume. We can sell entire collections in one day. We have a bit of an audience, so we can get people there that want this stuff, that want to buy it, and want to be part of the community as far as that goes. So it's a cool opportunity, and we're very thankful for it. So we're leaning into that.
You've maintained a lot of flexibility in your business to constantly be looking at what you're doing and even what markets are doing. Because if you look at, let's look at sports cards now versus sports cards in 2021.
Yeah.
Wildly different market.
Yeah. Yeah. So in 2021, we, you and I did sports cards, right? We did a mutual flip. Some of you guys might remember that, where we were just kind of growing profits together through sports cards, and there was a lot of attention. That's actually what I started with on eBay as a younger kid. And again, still have all that knowledge of sports cards in my head, and I would still be intrigued if maybe that could be something we could add in some way. But the market is certainly, there's still a lot of attention on it, but it's way harder to be able to profit in it, from my understanding of it. So like that's one that kind of has just been cut off.
But then on the flip side of that, you've seen, obviously Pokemon was big back then. It took a little bit of a dip, but now Pokemon has come back really, really strong in the past 12 to 18 months in a major way. So then you're kind of saying, okay, hey, as a business, and not just you, tons of reselling video game businesses and businesses in that collectible space are saying, man, Pokemon is the thing right now. Let's invest more and more into this. But one of the things you mentioned, Rick, is Rick hasn't stopped doing video games.
Correct.
Like he's still doing video games. He's still doing collectibles. He's just scaling them back and shifting attention a little bit to where he can have multiple revenue streams, multiple markets, as opposed to just saying, hey, Retro Rick's Game Point is no longer games. It's now Retro Rick's Pokemon Point or whatever it is.
Right.
There's a difference there.
There is. And, with that said, there are people that have sold us their video game inventory because they're getting all into Pokemon cards. So there's and to me that is a little bit more risky, but the good thing with these people is they still have the experience in video games, and if they need to, they could pretty quickly shift.
Yeah, they can kind of pivot back. And
so I think that's a really important point with this. Like if you are in a place where you're like, man, I just really want to focus in and dial in, the main question I would have is what is your plan if the rug gets pulled out from under you? And we were talking about this in one of our live Discord calls. Jonathan, who works at a bank, was in one of our calls, and he manages a few employees and does an incredible job there. And for them, it's very important for every single thing that they do that produces revenue or leads to revenue, if it were to disappear, they have a specific written out backup plan.
Wow.
Which I was actually inspired by, because we have general thoughts here in our business, and I think you guys probably do too in some of your businesses, but to write it out specifically. Like, if this happens, if we lose Amazon, what's our plan? If we lose whatnot, what's our plan? If this video game thing, if digital takes over and nobody cares about physical anymore, which I don't think will happen, by the way. No. I think there's always going to be a market. It's going to change. Buy low, sell lower, buy high, sell higher. You know, you get the whole thing. I'm, but like I want to have a plan in place, and we are working on that. Really, really, in a lot of ways, we have.
Well, and you don't want to be a doomsdayist. Like, you don't want to constantly look at your business and be like, oh no, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? Like, you're going to give your all and go into whatever you're doing right now. And so right now, Pokemon ETBs is a great thing for your business where you can put some time and money and resource behind it. But in 6 months, if the ETB market gets oversaturated or dries out, that's okay. You're just forming a plan to say, hey, how do we shift out of this into something else?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely like you can have a victim mindset if you just get tied up in like, man, this is just too risky, this is too crazy. But I think where you have the victor mindset, or just like taking charge, is like, I'm good. You know, like, I have a plan and I am confident that whatever happens, we're good here.
Let's talk about a little bit specifics into diversification. So obviously we've highlighted that you can diversify kind of products and the stuff that you're shopping for and selling. You can also diversify platforms. Let's start with products first. So obviously you started with sports cards back in the day, and then you transitioned into video games, where now video games are a large majority of your reselling business that you do today. What was it that kind of moved you towards that? What were you looking for in a diversification opportunity? What kind of, like, what did that look like as you began exploring other products?
Yeah, so it kind of happened organically, but I do think this is something that can be calculated. So I was going to garage sales specifically looking for sports cards because that's what I knew. I also loved video games, played video games as a kid. For those that don't know, I started selling on eBay when I was 8 years old under my mom's account, and then got more serious, honestly, pretty serious about it at 11, 12, and like started to grow like a real business. I've always been a weird dude, weird kid for sure. So it was like I was passing all these video games, or I'd buy them sometimes for myself, right? And they're pretty cheap. I'm like, wow, that's a really good deal. You know, that's $50 at Toys R Us.
Toys R Us, man.
And I just got it days. Right. And I just got it for $5 or whatever. And so for whatever reason, it took me a while to like connect the dots. But you know, when I got a Game Boy Pocket brand new sealed for $3 at a garage sale, and was like, I wonder what that's worth. $150 at the time. It's probably even more now, for sure, even more now. But like, I think it's like you can be outsourcing, or you can just be living within your business and realize, okay, I am passing up on all these things. What's a way that I can make this something I can diversify into? Or like, you're at a show and you see like, man, I could buy all these toys, or I could buy all these comics, or whatever. I kind of know a little bit about it. I feel like I'm learning, you know, maybe there's somebody you can partner with that can consign that stuff for you and would love to, you know.
I think there's something important there, though, is that when you're looking for diversification opportunities, you're looking in areas that you're either passionate about or that you understand really well.
Yeah, that's huge.
One of the things, like, even obviously when people hear the word diversification, one of the first things they think of is investing.
Yeah.
And so like, I love, like, so we both follow the Dave Ramsey principles and stuff like that. And one of the tips that he says is never invest in something that you don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to go into it, which is probably part of the reasons, like, for you just said comics. Like, comics are a very adjacent thing to the things that you sell, and you'll sometimes dip your toe in it, but you don't know comics like you know video games.
Yeah, not at all.
So you're not going to invest $300,000, $200,000 into buying comics or getting a ton of comics on the buy list and making that a huge part of your business because you don't understand it. You may appreciate them, you might know a little bit about them, just enough to like, oh, I know that one is valuable, or I know these first editions are valuable, or stuff like that. But you're not going to go all into it because it's not something you understand. I think that's something that's important for business owners is don't diversify just to diversify. If you don't know what you're getting into, don't get into it. That's where you can kind of get underwater on things is when
Yeah.
you start buying and processing and selling things that you don't have a high passion or understanding about. You can get really sideways really quickly.
Yeah, it can get pretty muddy.
Yeah.
I had a lot of Barbies in my basement at one time. And
Because you were, and I get it. Like you're at the sale,
Yeah.
you're looking it up. You're like, wow, this Barbie is $2 and I can sell it for $65 all day long.
and then it
on
sits in my
eBay.
basement for 2 years, and I don't touch it because I don't want to list it.
Because you
And I
don't want to
know
list
about
it,
and it's
or
overwhelming.
you got it home and you're like, oh, well, it sells for $65 with this tiny little purse part
Right.
that I didn't have. I've got everything else, but I don't have this one little adapter. And I guess the adapter or the one little toy, and I guess that's what made it valuable. And so those are, and that's part of the learning experience.
Well,
of owning
that's
a
also
business.
part of the growing.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you have to expand because you can't find the things that are exactly in your wheelhouse. So if you want to like grow to a point where you can get systems, processes in place, connections, like you have to kind of get to a higher level of sourcing, a higher level of connections, a more diversified business on the sourcing and the buying side before you can really go deep. So sometimes you might have to buy the cameras or you might have to buy all these things, and that's great. Just know that if you want to get your business to the next level, you got to kind of dial it in, hone it in, and that's what we're saying here. It's not wrong, and I've done it and still do it sometimes. But I know that if I want this thing to continue to raise with the same amount of hours per week, the same manpower, like something has to change. We have to get systems dialed. We have to like hone into a few different things.
Well, and it's okay to buy your education in a way.
Oh yeah.
Like there's stuff that you've bought that you have lost money on.
Yep.
But it's education at that point. You're like, you know what? This cost me $20, but now I have the knowledge and the kind of the institutional understanding of like, I'm not going to buy Coca-Cola collectibles.
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy this product or that product because it either doesn't fit me and my business or it's just not profitable. And I think that's been a big part of you growing as an entrepreneur, as a business owner,
Absolutely.
is trying things like Hobby Shop Ryan. You mentioned that. Like it was a ton of knives and a ton of trains. Like you learned a lot about knives and trains.
Yeah.
And you made money on it, but you probably have also realized, okay, that's not a good diversification for my business in the long term.
Yep.
It worked at this time. It's probably not what I'm going to focus on being like, oh, I'm now a full-time train and knife buyer. That's not who you are.
Right.
So I think that's important. So let's shift. Let's talk a little bit about platforms. When you're looking at diversifying on platforms, what does that look like to you? Obviously, we have some people that are watching and listening who are brick and mortar, so it might have to look a little bit different for them. But for you being an online reseller, what does diversification of platform look like and why would you do it?
And while we continue this conversation, I want to thank this video's sponsor, Flipper. In our business, we have to value games, and sometimes valuing them one by one can be a very slow and tedious process. And that's why we've started using a new software that allows us to scan dozens and dozens of games in just seconds. Here's how it works. All you have to do is take a picture of the spines, cover, or cartridges of a bunch of games, and then Flipper will analyze that image and give you a big list of every single title, how much it's worth according to price charting and eBay solds. You get a report of the total value of what you just scanned and the average price per item. If we're out and about at garage sales or we're at game stores where we need to quickly scan a bunch of items, Flipper has become our new go-to. It's a newer service, so they're launching updates every single week. For instance, recently they added even more data options to really fine-tune exactly what you want. This includes condition options, sell-through rate, price distribution, and more. I'm excited to see what Flipper continues to launch. They don't just do video games, they have lots of other things that you can scan, and it's become very valuable to us in our business, especially when people are always sending us photos of their collections. Flipper is free to use, so go over to useflipper.com to try it out today. And if you're interested in their pro version, you can use our code ROOM20 for 20% off your first month. Thank you to Flipper, and now back to it.
Yeah. So there's a number of platforms that you can do, and I'll name off some of the most popular ones: Amazon, eBay, whatnot. You got Mercari, you've got Etsy, you've got Facebook, local flips. You could be a vendor. You could open a store. That's kind of a whole nother risky venture there. There's a lot of different platforms that you can sell on, and what I think is very important is get really good at one platform, and once you're really good at one platform, I think that's when it's time to say, what's another platform I can get really good at? And again, in one of our recent live Discord calls, there was somebody in there saying one thing that he's done to kind of reduce risk is when he's buying something, he says, can I profitably sell this on at least 2 platforms?
Oh, that's interesting.
Which I really like that tactic. I've never thought of it like that, because we've had some buys where it's like, we can only sell this on Amazon because there's a little bit of a premium there. And if we sell it anywhere else, we're going to lose money.
Yeah.
And I think shifting to like, we can't make those purchases because what if that falls through?
Yeah.
And also like this has to go in like a separate section. We know that like we can't sell this on Whatnot. We can't sell this on eBay because we can't profitably do it. That's just a bad buy, right? So I think having a second platform at least to where like you can sell it there, you can sell it on the other one, and you can still make money is very important. And for us right now, our main 2 are Amazon and Whatnot. But also I would add a third one in there of like kind of partners where we're just kind of basically taking like a little bit of a commission and sending things off or a consignment type of thing and still can profitably do it while, sticking in our wheelhouse, maximizing time. So that's kind of been a third rung, and I think it's underutilized. No matter the size of your business. I think about Michael Cash, who I want to have on soon.
I know. We'll have him on the podcast
friend,
here soon.
Good business connection. And one thing that he does really well is the partnership mindset. He sells all of his video games to me because he knows that we pay well, and he buys them to where he knows he can profit quickly, makes a couple $1,000s a month in profit doing that, just the video games. And then he said he's almost doing as much volume in golf clubs because he found a golf club business that he's selling to.
Wow.
And he's just like buying them up, going crazy.
Gold, guns, and golf clubs.
Yeah. So in his wheelhouse is the gold and the silver and the guns. And so like that's where he maximizes. But he's out garage selling and he sees these opportunities. So he's not taking too much time because he's not individually selling them. He couldn't do that. But he still has all these partners, and I think that is just brilliant. Like if you can make that happen, I think about cameras. There's so many cameras out there. If you can get in touch with a camera seller or the local camera shop and say like, what can you pay me on Sony Handycams? What can you pay me on 35
Just
millimeter?
this morning before this podcast, so I found a camera that was sitting in my basement, strangely enough, and it was something I bought 5-6 years ago. I think I bought it for under $200.
It was a good deal.
And I was like, I wonder how much this is worth. Looked it up. It was $1,000.
Dude, it sold for $1,050.
That's insane. Like
Let's go.
you can make money. Opportunities everywhere. I think one of the things that you say a lot is you talk about profit dollar per hour.
Yeah.
Because obviously time is the one thing that none of us can get more of. And we talked about that in a previous podcast about not having burnout or avoiding or what it looks like to steward your time well. But when you're looking at different platforms, you also have to consider, okay, how much manpower, either your own manpower or your team's manpower, am I investing into this to sell this? Because on Amazon, so you say Amazon and Whatnot are your main 2. Amazon, you're almost always going to get a premium on Amazon over what you can get on any other platform for the category that you're in. So if you could sell 100% of your stuff on Amazon and probably have a better margin if you're not factoring in anything overhead, anything like that, where Whatnot has been a great diversification for you, is because there's been things where you can say, hey, I'm okay taking a little bit less of the raw gross margin because the net margin is actually better because of all the cost that goes into selling that good.
Yes.
With people, inventory, shipping, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So Amazon, it takes a long time to get the product in pristine, excellent, amazing condition, swap the cases, clean the discs, clean the consoles, box them up. Like there's a lot to Amazon FBA we're talking about here to get the product like in excellent condition, which is what we always do there. So Whatnot, sometimes we just get products already in excellent condition or is retro stuff. And like what you said, profit dollars per hour, where can we maximize that? And Whatnot, it is a lot of times probably lower margin because it's just so quick. But stuff is actualized immediately. There's no lead time in the sales, right? So that's another factor for Amazon. It could take an average of a month for an item to get in to sell for us to get the money. Even more than a month, probably like 3 months on average. And then Whatnot, it's like we can get a whole collection. We might have bought it for $20,000, but we might at the end of the day walk out with $5,000 in profit and move on to the next one. And that's that's amazing, you know?
Yeah.
So it is a different frame of mindset. And I love that we kind of have both options. Sometimes we know we have a $50,000 collection coming up. We're always buying collections. That's a lot of money. We're moving at the speed of cash here. So we might say, we got to do like a couple big whatnots, make sure we got that cash, extra cash ready to go.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of power in that. So that's been really cool for us.
That's awesome. So it sounds like diversification for you and your business has brought a lot of stability. It's helped kind of mitigate some of that risk that comes with online reselling in different markets and products, whether it's Pokemon or video games or sports cards, and the variability of that. So it's brought some stability to you. It's brought some opportunity to try some new products, to get into the knives, get into the trains, do a couple things, maybe even expand your business, find new revenue opportunities. Like Whatnot was a totally new revenue opportunity a couple of years ago versus when you were just on eBay and Amazon. So it's brought some new opportunities. And then one of the biggest things that you've highlighted and I love is it's brought a networking to where you can leverage other relationships, you can leverage other people in other markets or other specialties for them to do what's best for their business and you to do what's best for your business, and everyone wins.
Yes. Yeah. One thing I would want to challenge everybody that's listening or watching. Where is one area that you can find a partner, a business partner that can be mutually beneficial? What can you do, or who can you connect with, and like do it this week? Like reach out, make it happen, see what happens, and see what it can do for you and your business. It has been game changing for us, and it's something that I'm becoming like absolutely obsessed with because I just see the benefit to their business and ours is incredible.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it. And it's scalable, right? Like your time is such a valuable asset, and this is a great way to maximize on your time.
And if you've done that, if you have a partner, maybe you have someone that you've been working with where it's been good for you and for them, share that in the comments as an encouragement to other people.
Please do.
Like let them know like, hey, here's something I did. I specialize in this, but I found a great connection. I found a great spot. I found a great source for this. And I was able to partner with this person to help their business and help my business. We'd love to hear those stories.
Yes.
Put them in the comments below. Help encourage the other people listening. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing?
Come on now.
Over 60% of you haven't subscribed yet. Subscribe, hit that button, hit the thumbs up. We have videos coming out all the time. We'd love to have you along for the ride. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.
Adios.